It's funny what you'll accept when you're broke, tired, and 200 miles from anyone who remembers your name. The listing said, La Noche Motel, night clerk needed, immediate start, cash. No questions asked? And that last line sold it. I arrived just after 9 p.m. The motel sat alone off a sun-bleached service road that hadn't seen regular traffic since the 80s. 15 rooms. Faded teal siding. Neon sign half-lit, blinking noche in a slow pulse. There were no cars in the lot. No people around. Just the wind, hot and dry, brushing sand against the windows like whispers too tired to finish. The front office door was unlocked. No bell. No chime. Just the creak and the hum of a fan somewhere in the back that didn't sound like it belonged to any machine made after 1955. No manager. No staff. Just a reception counter with a cracked laminate surface and a dusty bell that didn't work when I tapped it. And behind the counter, an old rotary phone, a key box, and a plain manila envelope with my name on it. Written in red ink. Inside the envelope were 3 things. A master key marked Clerk. A spiral-bound logbook, half full, dated entries ending abruptly 2 weeks ago. A single, typed page titled After Dark Protocols, Night Clerk Only. Lock all room doors by 10:30 p.m., even the empty ones. Do not answer the red phone unless it rings exactly 3 times. Guests who check in after 2 a.m. must be assigned room 5. Do not make eye contact. If you see headlights on the North Road, turn off the neon sign and hide under the desk until they pass. Always leave 1 mint on the front counter before sunrise. Do not open room 8. If you forget a rule, the desert will remind you. No explanation. No signature. Just those 7 rules, and a handwritten addition on the bottom corner. Good luck. Don't look in the pool. I stood there for a long moment, envelope in one hand, logbook in the other, feeling the slow crawl of unease work its way under my skin. But I didn't leave. Didn't ask why there was no hiring manager. Didn't ask why the lights above room 8 were flickering even though no one was staying there. I just turned off the vacancy sign, took the key off the hook, and clocked in. I tried to settle in like it was any other night job. Sat behind the front desk. Flipped through the logbook. Read entries from clerks who came before me. Most of them were short. Simple. Checked room 6, vacant. Left mint. No guests tonight. All doors locked. Phone didn't ring. Then, suddenly, the entries stopped. 2 weeks ago. No explanation. Just a final line, written in shaky pen. Room 5 smiled again. I put the book down. Read the rules again. They didn't make any more sense the second time. But I figured if I followed them, I'd get paid, sleep through sunrise, and move on. Just another weird job in a long line of bad decisions. I did my rounds. Locked every room, even the ones without keys. Checked the pool, still empty. Turned off the north-facing sign before midnight, just in case. Left the mint on the counter by the cash register. I sat back behind the desk. And that's when the red phone rang. Not just once. Not twice. 3 times. Then silence. I stared at it. Old rotary style. Dusty cord. No caller ID. No ringtone, just a sound like a dry wind punching through the receiver. I picked it up. No voice. Just wind. And underneath it, something else. Breathing. Too slow to be human. Too deep. And then, finally, a whisper. There's someone in the pool. Click. I froze. The pool had no water. It hadn't for years, judging by the cracks and faded, and no diving signs. It was just concrete, sand, and a rusted lawn chair with a busted leg. I grabbed the flashlight. Stepped outside. The night was dead silent, not a coyote, not a breeze, not even crickets. Just heat pressing down like a hell breath. I reached the pool. Shined the light over the edge. And saw footprints in the dust. Bare. Leading in. None leading out. I didn't climb in. Didn't speak. Didn't breathe too loud. I just backed away, locked the front office door, and checked that the red phone cord was unplugged. It was. That morning, I updated the logbook. First call. Pool footprints. Rule 2 is real. And I placed 2 mints on the counter. Because something told me. 1 wasn't enough anymore. It was 2:11 a.m. I remembered the time exactly, because that's when the front bell rang. I hadn't heard a car. No footsteps. No gravel crunching under tires. Just the sharp ding of the reception bell, even though I hadn't seen anyone approach the front door. I looked up from the logbook. And there he was. A man stood at the counter. Mid-30s. Pale skin. Tall. Gaunt. No expression. No emotion. But the thing I remember most? He had no shoes. Just bare feet. Dust-covered. Cracked. Like he'd been walking the desert barefoot for days. And his eyes? Solid black. Not bloodshot. Not shadowed. Black. Iris Tiscara. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He slid a $2 bill across the counter. Crisp. Old. As if it had never been folded, never touched by sunlight. I remembered Rule 3. Guests who check in after 2 a.m. must be assigned Room 5. Do not make eye contact. I didn't ask for ID. Didn't ask how he got here. Didn't ask why his pockets were full of sand that now trickled across the counter. I just took the bill. Picked up the key to Room 5. And kept my eyes on the desk. Even when he reached out, slowly, to take the key, I didn't look up. But I felt it. That moment when he stopped moving. When his hand hovered near mine just a second too long. When the room got colder, even though it was 90 degrees outside. And I swear, I heard him smile. Not breathe. Not speak. Smile. Like leather stretching across dry bone. He left the key hook swinging. Walked out of the lobby without a sound. And when I finally looked up to check the parking lot, he was gone. But Room 5's light was on. I didn't sleep the rest of the shift. Just sat there behind the desk, listening for footsteps. Watching the red phone. Watching the key hook, waiting to see if the key would come back on its own. It didn't. When the sun rose, I placed a mint on the counter. The $2 bill had vanished. But something new was there. A single line, etched into the surface of the desk with a nail or knife. You did good. He's smiling less now. I added my own note to the logbook. 2:11 a.m. guest. No shoes. Room 5. Rule worked. Eyes didn't. Rule 4 was the one I thought I'd never need. If you see headlights on the North Road, turn off the neon sign and hide under the desk until they pass. Simple enough. Except there wasn't a North Road. Not anymore. The old maps showed a highway connector that used to run along the backside of the motel, but it had been closed for years, washed out in a flash flood. The desert reclaimed it. All that remained were bits of guardrail and a collapsed bridge to nowhere. No one drove that way. Until they did. It was night 14. Around 1:30 a.m. The motel was silent, the air thick with heat and static. I was restocking towels behind the desk when I saw it. Light. At first, just a flicker on the far wall. Then the long stretch of 2 pale beams, slow-moving, approaching from the back of the property. I froze. Not the front road. Not the highway. These were coming from the north. I ran. Shut off the neon sign. Dove behind the desk. Heart pounding so loud I was sure the phone would ring just to scold me. Outside I heard gravel crunch. The whine of an engine too old to still be running. And then, a door opened. But no door closed. For 2 whole minutes, there was nothing. Not even wind. Just the rumble of the engine idling. Then came the sound of footsteps on tile. Inside. I held my breath. Listened as slow, deliberate steps moved across the lobby floor. Boots. Heavy. Dragging. Then a voice. Wrong clerk tonight. It wasn't angry. Wasn't human either. It sounded like paper being torn underwater. The footsteps stopped right next to the desk. I felt heat on the back of my neck. Not warm-blooded heat, dry engine heat, like something had just come in from a long drive through hell. Then silence. Then the bell rang once. Soft. Final. I didn't move until the sun rose. When I finally stood up, the motel was empty. The headlights were gone. But the front counter mint was missing. In its place, a small, scorched piece of paper. Burned edges. Words barely legible. But I read them. Keep hiding. The road remembers him. That morning, I didn't leave a mint. I left too. And I carved a new rule into the logbook's inside cover with my room key. Rule 4, amended: if the North Road calls, hide fast. He doesn't like being watched. He doesn't like change. And he's still looking for the first clerk who broke the deal. The thing about room 8 is that it was always quiet. No flickering light. No strange noises. No guest ever asked for it. No reservation ever listed it. It just existed. Until night 15. At 3:33 a.m., the hallway motion sensor triggered. The camera feed blinked once. Then went black. When it came back, the red occupied light outside room 8 was on. I hadn't booked it. No key had left the box. No guest had entered the log. And yet, the door was wide open. I should have followed Rule 6. Do not open room 8. But technically I didn't. It opened itself. So I took the flashlight. And I stepped closer. Not inside. Just close enough to see what was waiting behind the threshold. There was no bed. No furniture. No carpet. Just sand. Thick, coarse, desert sand, filling the room from corner to corner like the walls were holding back a collapsing dune. And in the center of the room, a wooden chair. Old. Hand-carved. Facing the far wall. On the chair sat a photo album. Black leather. Silver clasps. And on the first page, a picture of me. Taken from behind the desk. Time-stamped exactly 3:33 a.m., tonight. I turned the page. More photos. All taken from the motel's angles, but none of them from cameras I recognized. Guests checking in, who never appeared in the logbook. Children standing at windows that never faced east. A man in a red jacket lying face down in the pool, weeks before I ever took the job. And at the center of the album, folded like a contract, was a torn sheet of motel stationery. It read, "Those who open the room are recorded. Those who enter are remembered. But those who rewrite, stay." Suddenly, the sand shifted. Not wind. Not settling. Breathing. I stepped back. The chair creaked. The album snapped shut. And the door, without a single gust, slammed closed in my face. Locked itself. Back at the front desk, the light for room 8 was off again. No guest. No activity. Just the red phone sitting still. And the photo album was on my chair. Open. To the last page. A blank photo slot with my name underneath it. Waiting. I updated the logbook. But the ink bled sideways when I tried to write. Room 8. As if the motel didn't want it documented. So I just wrote. It opened. I saw myself. I didn't enter. Not yet. And I left 3 mints on the counter. Because something told me. Someone else had just been taken off the list. The manager never came back. His office stayed locked. No light. No sound. But sometimes, when I passed it after 4 a.m., the fan inside would spin, even though the motel had no central power after midnight. On night 16, the logbook was different. Same leather cover. Same spiral rings. But when I flipped it open, the pages were blank. Every entry I'd written? Gone. Except for the very last one, written in handwriting that wasn't mine. "It's your motel now." I tried to write. The pen worked. The ink didn't. Letters appeared, then vanished, absorbed into the paper like the motel was reading it as I wrote. I turned the page. Found a new heading. Updated clerk protocols, La Noche. Typed. Clean. Fresh. But the rules were altered. Lock all doors by 10:30 p.m., except room 5. If the pool fills overnight, do not investigate. It is not water. The guest in room 3 will knock at 2:46 a.m. Do not answer unless he brings exact change. The mint is now optional, but appreciated. Do not attempt to leave the property between 12:01 a.m. and 6 a.m. The road isn't safe for people with names. At the bottom, a blinking cursor, waiting for me to add more. That same night, a man came in around 3 a.m. No ID. No cash. Just a plastic motel key. It matched no known room. He handed it to me, smiled faintly, and said, "They said you'd understand." He walked out into the desert. Didn't take a room. Didn't leave tracks. Just vanished into the heat mirage at the edge of the lot. I held the key until sunrise. It was labeled Clerk 0. The next morning, I opened the logbook again. Found my name on the back page. Below it, a space labeled next of shift, underscore 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 underscore. And beneath that, rewrite the rules when they stop working. Or when you start to. I wrote my first rule that day. In my own handwriting. Rule 1, updated: if room 5 smiles without a guest inside, speak the name of the last one who stayed. Even if you never heard it. The room will remember it for you. The page accepted the ink. Didn't fade. Didn't reject it. Just pulsed once, like a breath drawn through paper. That night, the motel felt calm. Like a beast freshly fed. Like it approved of what I'd written. It was just past midnight on night 17. The desert air was still. The neon sign buzzed softly. The logbook rested open beside me, breathing like something alive, each page pulsing faintly in the moonlight. The red phone hadn't rung all night. Room 5 stayed dark. Room 8 never blinked. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard tires on gravel. Slow. Hesitant. A beat-up sedan pulled into the lot, engine wheezing like it barely made the drive. The headlights cut across the reception window. And then turned off. A kid stepped out. Couldn't have been older than 22. Wearing a hoodie and a look that said, "I need this job, even if it kills me." He walked up to the front door, unsure if he should knock. I met him there, door already unlocked. He blinked. Is this where the night clerk job is?" I looked down. In my hand was an envelope. Manila. Slightly warm. His name was already on the front, written in red ink. I handed it to him. Said only 3 words. "Read the rules." He opened it. Inside, a master key. A blank logbook. And 7 new protocols, typed in crisp, black font. But they weren't the rules I started with. They were mine. The ones I'd written. Modified. Survived. He looked up, confused. "There's no manager?" I shook my head. "The motel runs itself," I said. Then paused. "And it doesn't like being alone." As he stepped inside, I walked past him, into the fading heat of the Arizona night. Behind me, the red phone gave one soft ring. Just one. Not for me anymore. I didn't take the road out. There wasn't one. Only open desert, stars above, and the sound of sand shifting beneath new footprints. The kind that didn't need direction. Just purpose. I don't know how long I worked there. Days? Weeks? Years? Time doesn't stick in places like La Noche. But I know this. You don't quit the motel. You don't survive it. You become part of it. So if you ever see a blinking teal sign in the middle of nowhere, and a place offering good pay, quiet hours, and no questions asked, keep driving. Because someone's always watching the cameras. And the job's always open. La Noche Motel. Vacancy always. Just follow the rules. Or don't. The desert remembers either way.